March 15th, 1994, 3:47 p.m. Princess Diana was running late when she saw something that would change two lives forever. What she did next broke every royal protocol about maintaining distance from ordinary citizens. But more importantly, it broke down the walls around a little girl's heart that had been built by months of cruelty. Her BMW had taken a detour through South Kensington residential streets when something caught her eye that made her forget about everything else. There, sitting alone on a low brick wall outside Pemberton Primary School, was a little girl whose shoulders were shaking with silent, desperate sobs. She couldn't have been more than 9 years old, with strawberry blonde hair in a school uniform that seemed too small for her round frame. But it wasn't just that she was crying. It was the way she was trying to hide it, with the practiced quiet of someone who had learned that making noise only brought more trouble. "Ken, stop the car," Diana said quietly. Her protection officer glanced in the rearview mirror. "Ma'am, we're already late for the ministry meeting." "Stop the car, please." Something in Diana's tone told Ken that this wasn't a request. He pulled over across the street from the school, parking beneath a large oak tree that provided some cover from any potential onlookers. Diana studied the scene more carefully. The school day had obviously ended, as other children were walking past the crying girl with their parents, chatting and laughing about their day. But not one of them stopped. Not one of them seemed to notice the little girl whose world was clearly falling apart on that brick wall. That's when Diana noticed something else. As a group of children around the same age walked by, she heard them snickering. One of them, a tall boy with dark hair, said something that Diana couldn't quite catch, but it made the others laugh louder. The crying girl's shoulders hunched further forward, as if she were trying to make herself disappear. Diana had seen enough. "Ken, I need to talk to that child." "Ma'am, protocol suggests—" "Ken." Diana's voice was gentle but firm. "Sometimes protocol has to wait." She was about to make a decision that would violate everything she'd been taught about maintaining royal distance. But watching this little girl suffer alone while the world walked past was something Diana simply couldn't do. Diana opened the car door and stepped out onto the pavement. She wasn't dressed like royalty today, just a simple navy sweater, jeans, and comfortable walking shoes. Her hair was pulled back in a casual ponytail, and she wore minimal makeup. To anyone passing by, she would look like just another mother, perhaps coming to collect her own child from school, which was exactly what she was hoping for. As Diana crossed the street, she could hear the little girl's quiet sniffles more clearly. The child was completely absorbed in her misery, unaware that someone was approaching until Diana's shadow fell across the pavement in front of her. "Hello," Diana said softly, keeping her voice gentle and non-threatening. "Are you all right, sweetheart?" The little girl looked up with red-rimmed eyes that were startlingly blue and filled with such sadness that Diana felt something crack inside her chest. This was a child who had been carrying pain far too heavy for her small shoulders. "I'm fine," the girl whispered, though her tear-stained cheeks and trembling lower lip suggested otherwise. Diana looked around and noticed that there was enough space on the brick wall for two people. Without asking permission, she sat down beside the child, careful not to invade her personal space, but close enough to offer comfort. "You know," Diana said, gazing out at the street rather than looking directly at the girl, "I've found that fine is often what we say when we're definitely not fine. I say it all the time when I'm having difficult days." The girl glanced at Diana sideways, her curiosity momentarily overriding her distress. "You have difficult days?" Diana smiled, though there was something wistful about it. "Oh yes, quite a few of them actually. Some days I feel like no one understands me, like I don't quite fit anywhere, like everyone else knows some secret about how to be happy that I've somehow missed." These words seemed to resonate with the little girl in a way that surprised them both. For the first time since Diana had approached, the child stopped crying and really looked at her. "That's exactly how I feel," she said in a voice barely above a whisper. "Like everyone else knows how to be normal, and I don't." Diana turned to face her properly now. "What's your name, darling?" "Lucy," the girl said, wiping her nose with her sleeve. "Lucy Henderson." "Hello, Lucy Henderson." "I'm—" Diana paused. She had been about to introduce herself as Diana, Princess of Wales, as protocol demanded. But something about this moment, this vulnerable little girl, this quiet street where real life was happening, made her want to be someone else entirely. "I'm Sarah," she said instead. "Sarah Williams." The lie came so easily that it surprised her, but it also felt liberating in a way she hadn't expected. "Are you someone's mom?" Lucy asked, looking around as if expecting to see another child nearby. "I am," Diana said, which was true. "I have two boys. They're a bit older than you, I think." "How old are you, Lucy?" "9," Lucy said, then added with the brutal honesty that only children possess. "But everyone says I look older because I'm fat." The casual way she said it, as if it were simply an accepted fact rather than a cruel judgment, broke Diana's heart a little more. "Who says that?" Diana asked gently. Lucy shrugged, fresh tears threatening to spill over. "Everyone. The kids at school mostly. They call me Lucy the Pig and Fatty Henderson. And—" She stopped, unable to continue. Diana felt a familiar anger rising in her chest. How dare anyone make this sweet child feel less worthy because of her appearance? "Lucy," Diana said, "those children are wrong. They're being cruel, and cruelty says much more about them than it does about you." Lucy looked skeptical. "But I am fat. I know I am. My mom tries to make me eat salads and go for walks, but I like food. It tastes good, and it makes me feel better when people are mean." Diana recognized something in that admission that she understood all too well. The complicated relationship between food and emotion, the way eating could provide comfort when everything else felt painful and out of control. "Food can be comforting," Diana said carefully. "But you know what? You're worth so much more than what you weigh or what you look like. You're a whole person with thoughts and feelings and dreams, and anyone who can't see that is missing out on knowing someone pretty amazing." Lucy stared at her as if she'd spoken in a foreign language. "But if I'm amazing, why doesn't anyone like me?" The question was so simple and yet so complex that Diana had to think carefully about her answer. "Sometimes," she said slowly, "people are unkind to others because they're unhappy about something in their own lives. And sometimes people just haven't learned yet that being different isn't the same as being wrong. But Lucy, I want you to know something important. The right people will like you. The people who matter will see all the wonderful things about you that have nothing to do with how you look." "How do you know?" Lucy asked, and there was something almost desperate in her voice, as if Diana's answer might be the difference between hope and despair. Diana considered telling her the truth, that she knew because she had spent years feeling misunderstood and judged, because she understood what it was like to be analyzed and criticized for everything from her appearance to her choices. Instead, she said, "Because I can already see wonderful things about you, and I've only just met you." "Like what?" Lucy asked, clearly skeptical but wanting to believe. "Well," Diana said, settling in as if she had all the time in the world, "you're brave enough to show your feelings instead of pretending everything is okay. That takes courage. You're thoughtful. I can tell because you really listened to what I said instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. And you're honest. You told me exactly how you feel instead of making up stories to make yourself sound better." Lucy was quiet for a long moment, processing this new way of thinking about herself. "The kids at school don't see those things," she said finally. "Then those kids need to learn how to look more carefully," Diana replied. "And maybe they need to learn that real friendship isn't about what someone looks like or whether they fit some perfect mold. Real friendship is about kindness and loyalty and caring about each other." That's when Lucy said something that would change the direction of Diana's entire afternoon. "I don't really have any friends," Lucy admitted. "There are girls who are nice to me sometimes, but they never invite me to birthday parties or ask me to sit with them at lunch. And when the mean kids start saying things about me, the nice ones just walk away. They don't want to be seen with the fat girl." Diana felt something settle into place inside her chest, a decision that she hadn't consciously made, but that felt as natural as breathing. "Lucy," she said, "would you like to be friends with me?" The question caught Lucy completely off guard. She stared at Diana with wide eyes, as if she couldn't quite believe what she'd heard. "But you're a grown-up," Lucy said, "and you don't even know me." "I know enough," Diana said firmly. "I know that you're kind and honest, and that you could use a friend who sees your worth. And age doesn't matter when it comes to friendship. Some of my very best friends have been people much younger than me." Which was true. Some of Diana's most meaningful relationships had been with young people, children she'd met through her charity work, who had taught her as much as she'd taught them. "Would you really want to be my friend?" Lucy asked, and the hope in her voice was almost painful to hear. "I would be honored," Diana said, and she meant it completely. That's when Ken appeared at the end of the street, walking casually but clearly checking on Diana's well-being. She gave him a small wave that told him everything was fine, and he retreated to a respectful distance. "Lucy," Diana said, "I have an idea. Are you busy on Saturday afternoons?" Lucy shook her head. "I don't really do anything on weekends. Mum works a lot, and I mostly just stay home and read. What if we spent some Saturday afternoons together? We could go for walks or visit museums or just sit somewhere and talk about books. Would you like that?" Lucy's face lit up in a way that transformed her entire appearance. "You really mean it?" "I really mean it. But Lucy, there's something important I need you to promise me." "Anything," Lucy said eagerly. "Promise me that this friendship will be just between us for now. Not because I'm ashamed of being your friend, never that, but because I think you might enjoy having something special that's just yours. Something those other children can't touch or ruin." Lucy nodded solemnly. "I promise it'll be our secret." "Our secret," Diana agreed. They exchanged phone numbers, with Diana giving Lucy a private number that very few people had access to. She explained that Lucy could call anytime she needed to talk, and that they would arrange their Saturday meetings through phone calls. As Lucy's mood brightened, she became more talkative, telling Diana about her favorite books. She loved fantasy novels about brave girls going on adventures. Her favorite subject in school, art, because no one could tell her she was doing it wrong, and her dreams for the future. She wanted to be a children's book illustrator. With each detail Lucy shared, Diana felt more certain that her instinct had been right. This was a remarkable child who simply needed someone to see her worth and reflect it back to her. "Lucy," Diana said as she prepared to leave, "I want you to remember something. Those children who are cruel to you, they're not the judges of your worth. They're just people who haven't learned yet that being kind is more important than being popular. But you already know how to be kind. You already know how to care about others' feelings. That makes you wiser than all of them." Lucy nodded, though Diana could see she was still processing these new ideas about herself. "Will you really call me?" Lucy asked as Diana stood up from the brick wall. "I will call you tomorrow," Diana promised. "And Lucy, next time those children say something cruel, I want you to remember that you have a friend who thinks you're wonderful exactly as you are." As Diana walked back to her car, she could see Lucy's entire posture had changed. She was sitting straighter, her tears had stopped, and there was something almost like a smile playing around the corners of her mouth. Ken raised an eyebrow as Diana settled back into the passenger seat. "Everything all right, ma'am?" "Everything is exactly as it should be," Diana replied. What Diana didn't know was that she was about to embark on the most rewarding friendship of her life. Over the following months, she would watch Lucy transform from a defeated, isolated child into a confident young person who knew her own worth. Their Saturday meetings became the highlight of both their weeks. Diana would pick Lucy up from various locations around London, never the same place twice, and they would spend hours together exploring the city, talking about everything from books to dreams, to the challenges of feeling different in a world that seemed to reward conformity. Diana discovered that Lucy had an extraordinary imagination and a natural gift for storytelling. She would create elaborate fantasy worlds where kindness always triumphed over cruelty, where the outsiders became heroes, and where friendship was the most powerful magic of all. In return, Lucy gave Diana something she had been craving without realizing it, a friendship based purely on affection rather than obligation, someone who cared about Sarah Williams rather than the Princess of Wales. The transformation in Lucy was remarkable. She began speaking up in class, volunteering answers even when she wasn't sure they were correct. She started eating lunch in the library instead of hiding in bathroom stalls, choosing solitude over humiliation. She joined the art club and discovered that her illustrations were not just good, they were exceptional. Most importantly, she began to see herself through Diana's eyes, as someone worthy of respect, kindness, and love. But Diana was careful, very careful. She varied their meeting places, kept their interactions private, and maintained her cover story about being Sarah Williams, a working mother with older children. She told Lucy that she worked in communications and traveled frequently for her job, which explained any gaps in their contact. The ruse might have continued indefinitely if it hadn't been for a September afternoon that changed everything. Diana and Lucy were at the Natural History Museum when disaster struck. "Excuse me," said a voice behind them. "Aren't you Princess Diana?" Diana's blood ran cold. A middle-aged tourist with a camera was looking at her with growing excitement. "I'm certain it's you. You're absolutely unmistakable." Other visitors began to notice. Diana realized her cover was blown, and worse, that Lucy was about to learn she had been lied to for 6 months. "Sarah?" Lucy said quietly, her voice small and confused. "Who is she talking about?" Diana knelt down to Lucy's level, ignoring the curious crowd beginning to gather around them. This conversation couldn't wait until they found privacy. "Lucy," she said gently, "I need to tell you something important, and I need you to listen carefully." Lucy's eyes were wide with confusion and the beginnings of hurt. "You're not really Sarah Williams, are you?" "No," Diana said simply. "I'm not." "You're really a princess?" Lucy whispered. "Yes." For a moment, Lucy said nothing. Diana could see her processing this information, trying to reconcile the friend she'd known for months with this new identity that seemed impossible. "Did you lie to me about everything?" Lucy asked, and her voice was so small it was almost lost in the noise of the museum. "No," Diana said firmly. "Lucy, everything I told you about caring for you, about thinking you're wonderful, about wanting to be your friend, all of that was completely true. The only thing I lied about was my name and my job." "But why?" Lucy asked, tears beginning to form in her eyes. "Why did you lie about who you are?" Diana glanced around at the growing crowd of onlookers, some of whom were now taking photos with their phones. This was exactly what she had been trying to avoid. "Because," Diana said, "I wanted you to like me for me, not because I'm a princess. I wanted our friendship to be real, based on who we are as people, not on titles or fame. And I was afraid that if you knew who I really was, you might feel like you had to act differently around me." Lucy considered this explanation seriously, the way she considered everything. "But I wouldn't have acted differently," she said. "I already thought you were the most important person in the world because you were kind to me." The simple honesty of that statement hit Diana harder than any criticism could have. Here was a child who had valued their friendship exactly as much as Diana had hoped, not for any external reason, but because of the genuine care they had shared. "You're right," Diana said, "and I should have trusted you enough to tell you the truth from the beginning. I'm sorry I lied to you, Lucy. You deserved better than that." By now, the museum's security had arrived and was beginning to clear the area around them. Diana realized they needed to leave quickly before the situation escalated further. "Lucy," she said urgently, "I need to ask you something very important. Are you still my friend, even though I'm not who you thought I was?" Lucy looked at her for a long moment, and Diana held her breath. "Are you still my friend?" Lucy asked in return, "even though I'm nobody special?" "You are special," Diana said immediately. "You're the most special person I know. And yes, I will always be your friend." Lucy nodded slowly. "Then yes, I'm still your friend too, even if you are a princess." The relief Diana felt was overwhelming. She pulled Lucy into a quick hug before security could escort them away from the crowd. "But Diana," Lucy said as they were led toward a private exit, "can I ask you something?" "Anything. If you're a princess, why did you want to be friends with me? Don't you have famous friends and important people to spend time with?" Diana stopped walking and turned to face Lucy fully. Around them, the museum bustled with activity, but for a moment it felt like they were the only two people in the world. "Lucy," Diana said, "I have met presidents and celebrities and all sorts of people the world considers important, but none of them have shown me the kindness, honesty, and genuine friendship that you have. You taught me what it feels like to be valued for who I am rather than what I represent. You gave me the gift of real friendship, and that makes you more precious to me than any famous person could ever be." Lucy smiled then, the first real smile since the tourist had approached them. "Besides," Diana added with a grin, "princesses need friends too, especially friends who are brave enough to be themselves in a world that often tells them they're not good enough." As they left the museum together, Diana realized that the secret was out. but their friendship was stronger than ever. Lucy now knew exactly who she was friends with, and she had chosen to continue that friendship anyway. But more importantly, Diana realized that Lucy had always known the most important truth, that beneath any title or role, she was simply someone who needed friendship and kindness, just like everyone else. The media attention that followed was intense but brief. Photos of Diana and Lucy at the museum appeared in several tabloids, with headlines speculating about the mystery child in the princess's life. Diana's press secretary released a simple statement: Her Royal Highness enjoys meeting young people from all walks of life and values the natural friendships that sometimes develop from these encounters. Lucy handled the attention with remarkable grace. When approached by journalists outside her school, she simply said, "She's my friend, and good friends look after each other." She never revealed details of their conversations or meetings, protecting their relationship with the same loyalty Diana had shown her. Their friendship continued for years. Diana attended Lucy's graduation, celebrated her achievements, and supported her through challenges. Years later, after Diana's death, Lucy had become Dr. Lucy Henderson, a children's psychologist specializing in bullying prevention. In her first public interview about their friendship, she said, "She taught me that everyone deserves friendship and kindness. Real friendship isn't about who someone is in the world. It's about seeing each other truly and choosing to care anyway. She saw me when I felt invisible, and she helped me see myself differently." The brick wall where they first met still stands outside Pemberton Primary School. Sometimes children still sit there when they need a quiet moment, and sometimes caring adults remember that a single act of kindness can change the entire trajectory of a life. Diana's friendship with Lucy reminded the world that the most profound acts of service aren't always the ones that make headlines. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is simply notice someone who feels invisible and show them that they matter. The greatest gifts, Diana learned, were not the ones given by royalty to subjects, but the ones exchanged between friends who see each other's true worth and choose to nurture it, no matter what the world might say.